Throughout time, the ideals and norms of society have influenced the way humans interact with their surroundings. The development of modern architecture has been influenced by the evolution of culture. Currently, the building industry represents one of the leading enterprises in the world. Many large corporations are heavily involved with buildings and land. According to MIT, the US has a financial obligation to architecture. This focus on the economic side of design and building keeps the art of architecture a significant element of modern American society. First world countries such as the US seek incorporation of modern functionality into their surroundings. The culture of the United States in specific has evolved to a point where this is considered the standard. As explained by Groton, architecture is an experience because it affects every one of the body's senses, which is a powerful ability. The most obvious and immediate sensory gained from today's architectural experience is vision, the shape of the building, and the lighting. However, architecture is also functional, whereas most other art forms are purely visual. From this, one can understand that architecture truly affects each of the body's senses in its own unique way. For many researchers, the Greeks are noticed as one of the most significant and influential civilizations through human history. Greece is considered the birthplace of Western civilization, and its earliest roots can be traced back approximately 4,000 years. The roofs of Greek buildings were laid with timber beams covered by terracotta tiles. Terracotta tiles were commonly used for roofing and building ornaments. Greek architectural designs were defined with a column around every corner of the building. Greek cultural concepts have helped to shape and design many aspects of today's architecture. The Renaissance style of architecture was catalyzed by the rediscovery of architectural styles and theories of ancient Rome. Put simply, Renaissance buildings were modeled on the classical architecture of the Greeks and Romans, yet retained many modern features such as complex domes and towers. The goal of early pioneering architects was to exemplify the artistic concept of space. A sudden financial emphasis on improving building fundamentals was brought about in the mid-1960s after French architect Viollet-le-Duc published a series of tracts which denounced old building methods. He criticized the fact that new buildings were being built with old materials and old processes. His solution to this problem was to tap the potential of new resources. A group of architects known as the Chicago School made some of the most significant advances in the development of skyscrapers by incorporating steel framing. These buildings were not only an architectural feat, but also an extension of traditional methods and materials. Some third world countries have quite basic architectural standards, and they only seek the commodities that make life survivable. First world countries such as the US, however, seek the incorporation of modern technology and functionality into its surroundings, to a point that it is considered a standard. This philosophy paved the roads for what is now known as modernism. Modernism gained popularity in the late 19th century, and featured the use of geometric shapes and minimalism, or the ordering of space. A large promoter of these concepts is architect Frank Gehry, who became unintentionally famous when he designed his own Los Angeles home in the 1980s. Gehry stated in an interview,
"I had no idea I wanted to be an architect. I didn't know what I wanted to be."
Despite not knowing it yet, he would become considered as one of the fundamental artists of postmodern architecture. As with every art form, the public disputed the new concepts. Most recently, Gehry was recorded making obscene gestures at a press conference after receiving negative criticism. Nevertheless, the concepts of modernism continue to influence today's architecture. It is easy to detect homes that have been inspired by modernist ideals due to the easily identifiable geometric shapes that define modern designs. Furthermore, smart or automated home systems have become increasingly standard in homes across America. The use of solar power and wind power also allow buildings to become independent from power grids and reduce their emissions. The art that is modern architecture has evolved through culture, as the ever-changing diversity of societies keeps architecture constantly changing. By examining the historical past through to the current state of architecture, it is easy to observe how architecture is not only an experience, but also a functional craft that is influenced by the development of civilization.